So there you have it. The T20 World Cup 2024 has finally begun in rather underwhelming circumstances, I would say. I mean, you had historically the first ever cricket game, which was played 300 years ago, the USA versus Canada, as the first game of the World Cup. It was a fantastic game, no doubt. But since then, it's been a bit of an underwhelming one, particularly if you've been following what was happening in the IPL. But anyways, we're here to add a bit more context to what we've seen and understand the T20 World Cup, but also preview Pakistan, well, preview and review Pakistan's performance against England, and preview what they're going to do in their next couple of games coming up, and how the recent trends that we've seen, how that has an impact on Pakistan and India, of course, in the coming days. I've got Moin here with me from a new location, undisclosed capital of cricket, apparently. Um,
Yes, I have a
the,
secret location because of all the hate I'm going to give to Asim Khan on this channel, and then I need to be in hiding because I don't know what contacts he has, but they're going to come right after me. Look,
um,
I actually disagree with you. I like scoring matches, but there's nothing like balance between bat and ball. So actually, the game of the tournament so far, in the limited sample size, has been the West Indies Papua New Guinea game,
yeah,
right? And and I love all the experts at West Indies in their semi-final, ba- like, and I told you, and I said this to start. And look, I could be wrong. West Indies could just end up winning the whole thing, fine. But there is something about West teams like the West Indies, Pakistan, even Sri Lanka, where you just don't know what's going to happen on the day. You just don't know which team
yeah,
will turn up. It- Literally, I mean, I always thought that they would end up like winning even when it was pretty difficult for them. Like, you thought that it was just the quality of Papua New Guinea just meant that West Indies always had the upper hand. But there
yeah,
were moments when suddenly you felt when they lost their fifth wicket, you're like, wait, what? What's happening here to
yeah,
so-called dark horses of the tournament? But yeah.
yeah. I mean, I do agree with your point. There's something in it for with low scoring games, but I think it's not just the score itself. It's a bit to do with the quality of the
Quality, yeah, yeah.
not the quality of the cricket more. It's more the quality of the conditions, particularly the
Our
New York one,
favorite,
which will come on to.
the
Um,
iconic Eisenhower Stadium.
and
Eisenhower, who
how
knew nothing about cricket, his only taste of cricket was shaking Pakistan and Australia's hands at the National Stadium in Karachi. Fun fact.
Yeah. And how ironically, or rather not ironically, certain teams have been given the luxury of just playing their warm up matches and some early matches in the same stadium, not traveling. Whereas a few of the other teams have had to travel all the way around the U.S., Florida, 40 degrees or 95 degrees or whatever they call it in the U.S., and Texas, and all the way through different time zones and logistical issues. I actually read a report that the USA, that South Africa, Sri Lanka, and Ireland, I think they've complained to the ICC about logistical issues. They've
Really?
been
No,
put
I
on,
didn't know that.
yeah, they've had like accommodation on the other side of New York. Those who've been will understand how painful that is. Whereas India have been given accommodation 10 minutes from the hotel,
Is that
10
right?
minutes from the 10 minutes from the ground. It's speculated in the media. That's all I'd say.
But
But yes,
Pakistan, where are they staying?
I mean, Pakistan will be all over, right? Because they're first playing in
No, no, in
Dallas.
New York. I'm talking about in New York.
Not. Well, I
Not at the
probably the
Roosevelt, the
probably the
PIA
Roosevelt, I guess.
Hotel. The
Yes,
Roosevelt.
historical connections, but that's in Manhattan, right? So I'm not sure. Anyways, we've diverged from our topic to show off our general
how,
knowledge, useless
how
general
well
knowledge.
traveled we are. Yes.
But look, back to the World Cup. I mean, uh, the- I'll start off and maybe we can weave in with a preview of first the India game, right? India playing Ireland in New York, and then Pakistan are playing the USA in Dallas, right? So look, with Pakistan, as you say, West Indies, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, South Africa is all put in the same category. They're always prone to an upset. And the USA in that game in Dallas, I don't know if Pakistan wins the toss, bats first, or if loses the toss, bats first, and Babar Azam thinks 170 is a good score.
Or even if you
uh,
chase and USA surprise you and score 190 and you're like, oh no, we could end up losing this game, you know?
yeah,
But yeah, look, um, obviously India have an advantage playing in New York, but they've got the tougher team, right? They've got Ireland, and Ireland who beat us. So, let's be honest here. They are a decent side, but look, India are too good, right? Now, question on whether India have the right squad. I know we've talked about this before, right? But I think India making it to the Super 8s and the semi-finals at least is a given. The question is, do they have enough of an X factor in that squad, or have they played it too safe as they've tended to do for the last 10 years? And somehow there is a link between that and them not winning a trophy for the last 10 years, right?
yeah,
Um, Obviously, a part of me still feels like Abhishek Sharma. I don't know you, but I feel for you. Someone has a strike rate of over 200 sitting in the IPL and against good quality opposition, and he's not in your squad. Forget the starting 11, fine, he may not, but he's not even in your squad. You know,
yeah,
it baffles me sometimes where India, despite having the best talent in the world, can sometimes be so like their neighbors when it comes to missing out on the obvious just in the name of
yeah.
experience. And I know the quality is there, I'm not doubting that, but just part of me feels they may have missed a trick.
Yeah, I mean, look, looking at some of the conditions again, I'll bring it back to that. Maybe it's not a bad call. They've kind of had to go with their trusted old guard, a semi test match looking, lineup where maybe it's not going to be a 260, 270 type game.
Sure, sure.
So maybe that there is some method to, I wouldn't say the madness, but it's actually it's pretty much the opposite of madness, right? There's some method to their systematic thinking and
The
sticking with
methods
the
to their methods.
to their sticking with their tried and tested
Correct.
methods.
Yes.
But um, but look, I mean, look, the conspiracy theories out there, would theorists out there would argue that India had the luxury of having a practice match in New York. And if there's looking at the conditions in the first couple of games, in that ground in that stadium, if there is a venue that you needed to get some getting used to, it is that. I mean, when Sri Lanka got bowled out for 70 odd, I thought, okay, maybe it's just the pitch. But then South Africa also took their sweet time, got there in 17 overs. And had it not been for a couple of drop catches from the keeper, it could have been an even closer game, right? And it's, it's a game like this where if you're chasing 70 or you try and chase it in 6, 7 overs, so you get your net run rate up, but
Agree.
they didn't do that, right? And it wasn't easy for them either. So India, I think they have had that advantage, especially moving on to the 9th of June. And that's, I guess, the context of all of this is that they would have played 2 full games in that stadium. And more than the pitch, I think it's also just getting used to that ground because the slow outfield, the kind of bigger grounds, getting used to it. And Kohli's a master at these, not hitting the big sixes and the twos and the threes and the fours.
That's it.
So
Yeah. It's
so yeah, I think that look, India have a far superior side, and if it was any other ground, they would still be favorites. But if it was 70-30, then it's probably 90-10 now, in my opinion. And this isn't, this is a completely new ground, new conditions. This isn't like Vankara Swami, a flat deck where you don't need prep time for and you just go bang bang from ball one. Um, so I think yeah, that's why maybe I'm getting a bit too pessimistic. And one will argue, and I'm sure we can come out that how these conditions might actually favor Pakistan. Um, but it's just so tricky. Like if you this is like Ireland 2007 vibes, right, where they put Pakistan in on a green
that's
top.
yeah. I hear you. I definitely hear you. But just to banish that 2007, I mean, I think this is a different team to that team, right? That was a team full of really old batsmen and bowlers who, like second string bowlers. I remember Sami leading the attack, right? So it's a different kettle of fish. And look, I think on one hand, I agree with you. I think the team that wins is the team that has the more all-round batting capability, right? It's not just
Yeah,
the fours and sixes; it's the twos and the threes. We've lamented a lot about Pakistan's inability to hit the sixes, but actually Pakistan's dot ball percentage and their rotation of strike, which we talked a lot about during the previous ODI World Cup, is still very
yeah,
important in this one, right? So it's a
yeah,
very, I completely agree on that on those fronts, and obviously the prep time that India have, not doubting that. However, if you asked me before the World Cup, and if you forgot about the prep time, and you forgot about all these other things, and you said, listen, if you're going to play India, what sort of pitch would you want? I
Yeah.
would pick a pitch that has a more even balance between bat and ball compared to a dead wicket where 200 is the norm, because we know Pakistan can't get 200 unless something miraculous happens, right? So India have that firepower. So I do believe that this pitch gives us. So for me, it's the other way around. If it were 90-10 before, I'd say it's maybe 70-30 now, or 65-35 at best.
Yeah.
But there is one key point here, and that is the toss. With games like these on pitches which are not that tested, and especially when one team has not even played a practice game on it, the toss becomes that much more important, because you want to bowl first. You don't want to have to set a target and know what a good target is, because you have no idea. So you want to bowl first, let the opposition do all that hard work, and then you need to get just one run more. It's a different game then, right? Chasing 120 versus setting a total and not knowing what will be enough. And
Yeah.
Pakistan struggle with setting totals. We sometimes go bang bang, like in the final of the T20 World Cup 2022, when really we should have just settled for 150, 160, but we got spooked by England beating India by 10 wickets in the semi, and we thought, oh no, we need 180, otherwise we have no chance. Not realizing that our bowling at that time was superior to India's, and 160 would have been a fighting score. And on the flip side, we've had other instances where more recently we stick to 170, 180, thinking that's good enough. And that, in this case, converting it would be what, 130, 140. And we'd be like, oh, it's good enough. And then the other team chases it down with 11 overs, oh, no, 11, 9 overs to spare. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's one of those, right? So I think the toss just becomes that much more important. I could go as far as saying, if India win the toss and Pakistan bat first, it is. I mean, I'll give you my word, it'll be 90-10 or 95-5 India.
Yeah.
But if Pakistan win the toss and bowl first, I could see it coming closer towards 50-50. Maybe not 50-50, but still close to that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why Sri Lanka again they won the toss and decided to bat first. I think it was
Yeah,
just the
it's so stupid. It's, who does
yeah.
that?
I think it was just the opportunity to bat first in a T20 game doesn't present itself, a lot. And I think a day game, a morning, start, no due
There's only
factor.
one
Maybe
reason. There's only
that's
one
it.
reason,
Right?
and that's South Africa choking when chasing. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
only
true.
reason. That is literally the
Potentially,
only reason. You didn't want South
potentially.
Africa to bat first and make 200 like you saw in the IPL. This is when the IPL scared the Sri Lankans. It's like class and all. And also the last World Cup where chasing was a problem. This
Yeah,
is one of those things we talked about this before. You either play to your strength, or you play defensively and want to
yeah,
protect against the other team just doing something that you can't
yeah,
control and all this, right? I am all for matchups and making sure that you exploit the opponent's weakness. Absolutely, that's called game awareness. But there's a difference between doing it offensively and defensively. Sri Lanka did it defensively because there are so many arguments in the corner of why you should be bowling first. And you ignored all of that just because of the one thing in favor of batting first, and that is South Africa tentative. I mean, when you give up so much, that means you're really defensive and you don't trust your team ability to restrict South Africa and then chase it down. And that's unfortunate.
yeah. I guess from Pakistan's point of view, kind of works in Pakistan's favor that for them they have to chase regardless of what happens because I'm sure they know how bad
I
they
hope
are
they
at,
know.
at setting
I
setting
hope they know.
totals. um, and I guess this is a good way to we can also touch on the England series, but also how ironically from all the conversations we've had over the past few months, even us on this channel, Sam Ayub, Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan, Fakhar Zaman, what's the top two going to be? And we've come all the way around full circle to the same opening combination that we had in 2021, in 2022, most of 2023.
And
Back.
Miss Baul Haq will be just looking at everyone in Pakistan and saying, I told you so. You know, it's funny. And I was one of the people who criticized Misbah Haq, the coach a lot, because I thought he was far too defensive. Who thinks of Babar Rizwan opening? Why is Fakhr so low? Remember that England series in 21, Fakhr came at 4 and 5, and we were like, oh my god, how crazy is this? Because you had Sohaib Maqsood promoted over him. And suddenly you're like, well, Fakhr Zaman seems to have a strike rate almost double that when compared to when he opens at number 4, right? I don't know. I'm trying to make not. I'm trying to not make any sense of it, but if it were me, I would have done Babar and Fakhr to open, but to give them maximum time. But because Pakistan have such a dearth of power hitters in the middle order, you are forced to play Fakhr Zaman at number 4, because you don't have many other options of people who can clear the field. And with the
Yeah.
fielders back, you just need Fakhr at 4, which is unfortunate because you are depriving him of more game time. But
Yeah.
you're doing it because you don't have anybody else, right? And
Mm.
suddenly you're like, Misbah Haq actually had something in mind when he did all
Yeah.
this, right? But Fakhr at 4, and then you've got Babar and Rizwan who are going to open. Like, I think now we have now put that debate to rest. I think we talked once about saying you getting one too many chances, but finally that
Yeah.
ship has sailed. And
Especially
Usman Khan,
in this New York, on this New York pitch. I mean, okay,
no
maybe you
chance,
might you might
no
get away with it
chance.
against the US in Dallas, maybe, but no, in New York against Bumrah and Co.
Just imagine
Same
him just with the shot that he doesn't look. He's just like
yeah.
he looks it like that and he just hits it. Imagine on that wicket. I mean, he looked like complete done. You got Usman Khan at 3, right?
Yeah.
Usman Khan made his made his opportunity count. Now the bar is so low that scoring 36 gets you a sure shot
Yeah.
for the tournament. Unless something miraculous happens where he gets out of it, I think
Yeah.
he's a shoe in at 3, and you got Fakhr at 4, right?
Yeah.
And the good news is if Pakistan do end up being 10 for 2, then Pakistan does get to play in the power play, which is, I guess, a good thing. But the
Yeah.
question is number 5, number 6, number 7,
And everything after that.
and everything
I mean,
after that.
and look at the end of the day, look, and I know I've also flip-flopped around this. Babar is one thing, I'm not the biggest fan given where the game is, but that last T20 against England was just the perfect demonstration of why it just has to be
It has to be
Babar
there.
and Rizwan, because I mean, at the end of the day, they got off to a good start, right? 60
Yeah,
and 5.5,
9 runs and over.
yeah,
9 runs and
which
over.
is it's not exceptional, but it's good, and no
It's
wickets
good
lost, and
against a high quality bowling attack.
yeah, exactly. No wickets lost, and then even Usman got 30 odd. So both your openers are getting 30, 25, 30 at a decent strike rate, and then Usman comes in, scores 36, and then the rest of the team is like a phone number, right? So you have three ducks coming afterwards, Shahid Afridi promoting, getting promoted, and
I don't want to
randoms.
talk about that.
So, and it just proves the point, right? That you have to rely on Babar and Rizwan to even get you to a 155 or whatever it was Pakistan got. I mean, 10 overs they were 4 down, but they were 90 for 4 in 10 overs, something like that, and then bowled out for 155, 156.
I mean, look,
So and at that too, because Naseem Shah had a couple of boundaries towards the end, right? But
if
I mean,
anyone
yeah,
needs to
so
be promoted, it's him. But I guess promoting
yeah,
people just gets them to go the other way. So I guess you need
yeah,
everyone to be batting at 8 and 9. That's the issue. Look, I'm
yeah,
going to keep it simple. Okay, the first foremost, Azam Khan. Okay, we reluctantly gave up on this question of fitness because maybe this guy has something special that they see in the nets or somewhere. But to think, I mean, it's not like he's Don Bradman with the bat that you excuse his fitness, excuse his terrible fielding. You compromise on your wicket keeper because you have to hide Azam Khan in the field, so you have to make him wicket keeper, and he's going to drop catches. This guy better be scoring hundreds in every game he gets into, right? But he doesn't. He doesn't make more than 5, 10 runs. Like, I'm sorry to say, he can't even play the short ball. I mean, and now that's everyone. I know it was just one inconsequential game, but that meme game is so strong that everybody's seen it. All of India,
yeah.
everyone's seen him just hiding against the short ball. So look, I've got to say it. Why has he been selected over Muhammad Haris? Right, Muhammad Haris, who even ironically is a better keeper as well, but It's ridiculous, right? And this is
Yeah.
what's going to happen. You've made the wrong selection choices, right? Azam Khan, will he start against India? Unfortunately, I think he will, but it depends on what happens in the US. He's going to play against the US, and the worry
Yeah.
is he's going to score a good 20 or 30 against a weak team, and he'll get a shoe in. You know, like
I mean,
personally,
yeah, he can't play anything above 140, right? I
yeah,
mean, he was clueless. He had those two boundaries against England, and that was it. And then Archie he couldn't play. Wood he couldn't play. I I I I mean, okay, fine. I'm not an international cricketer, right? But how can you select someone who literally cannot play anything above 140?
yeah, yeah. I
I'd
mean,
rather, to be honest, I'd rather have either you put Shadab or Imad at six and play both of them and still have four fast bowlers, because at least that gives you something in the bowling.
no, absolutely. I
Um,
completely agree
or
with
or
that.
or or play Abrar. You can have three fast bowlers and Abrar. Or you go with Saim Ayub at five or six. To be honest, I'd rather play him
I'd rather do
because
that. I'd rather
he's
do.
he's a left. Yeah,
It's
he's
interesting.
not a liability
I,
in the field. And then fine if you even want to talk about his batting, but his keeping. I mean, it's not like he's a decent keeper. He's a bad keeper. He
terrible keeper. Easy catches.
dropped two
And
very easy chances. And then there's one where he didn't even try for it. It was an outside edge, and he didn't even
yeah, I
dive
was
for
about
it.
to
He
say
just
that
let
as
it
well. Yeah,
go.
and he just saw it. He's like, just
And
and there.
Haris Rauf is like losing it.
But see, look, this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think Azim Khan fits into the 11 in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
look, if Tikhar can bat at five, right? So if you have Iftikhar at five, then it opens it up. You can have Shadab and Imad six and seven, and Shadab has not been great. Okay, let's be honest. That's the other elephant in the room,
Yeah.
right? Shadab's terrible with the ball. He's just been so hopelessly out of form with the bat. I'm actually sick of people saying, even Cricinfo saying, "Oh, Shadab Khan worrying loss of form ahead of the World Cup," and I'm like, what loss of form? When has he ever had form? He's been like this for the last over 14, 15 months. But this PR machine, I don't know who he has doing his PR, is just talking about a temporary loss of form. Can Shadab gain it back? And I'm like, no, this is more than a form
Yeah.
issue. This is now becoming a quality issue. I don't think
Yeah.
Shadab Khan's good enough, right? I don't think
Yeah.
he's good enough. So I think if you're going to pick someone as a batter, Sam you bats at number six, and he's there to just he's like a power hitter that comes in, and maybe that suits him better. Like people need to adjust. It's 20 over cricket. Come on, like people can play in different
Yeah.
positions. Sam you at 5 or 6, whatever. And you got Imad Wasim at 7, and then you have your either four fast bowlers or you have three fast bowlers and Abrar. Personally, in New York, seeing how the pitch played, I would be tempted to play Abrar. I
Yeah.
know Pakistan won't do it. They haven't even tried Abrar even once. I know two England games were washed out, but it's so poor. Osama Mir got so many chances before
Yeah.
the previous World Cup. It's insane. Abrar Ahmed is someone nobody's played. He's a mystery spinner. These mystery spinners tend to have short lives until they are found out. But whilst they haven't been, make full use of them. Right now, I know there's a temptation, as you and I love to say, you love the people who are not in the team, right? Suddenly we make whatever, and suddenly he's going to make his way there and he's going to be walloped by India, who are great players of spin. I don't know.
Yeah.
But personally, I would do it. And who do you drop? Obviously Shaheen Afridi. I actually think Haris Rauf bowled well, so I think Haris Rauf will
Hmm.
actually make it. And Naseem Shah you can't drop. He's got X factor. I think Mohammad Ahmed is the one you've got to drop, right? But what do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think that's right, or do you think you just go with your strength, which is your pace, and go just
I
with Imad as a spinner and
I
Ifti?
think if no, I think no. I think if it's I know Shadab's lost form, but Imad cannot be your only spinner just because he's not
A
really a
spin.
spinner.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so yeah, if you have Imad, then I'd go with Abrar, and I would actually not go with Naseem. I cannot believe I'm saying this, just
Woo!
because of his form. I mean, the guy's conceded 50-50 runs, right? I mean, it's yeah. That's Harris has come back. He's come back well. I think the rest has done him good. So I'd stick with him. Amir and Shaheen, especially
But
for the
Amir
India
has not
game.
been great either, to be fair. Amir's not been that great either. I know it's tough. Naseem
Yeah.
Shah, we were blaming our World Cup debacle in 2023 on Naseem Shah not being there.
Yeah. Look, I think the problem, I think Naseem has the same issue that Shaheen sort of also does, but I think it's a bit
In
lack of
post
experience.
injury, yeah, yeah.
post injury, and also when he once he starts going for runs, he just doesn't stop. Amir, okay, he'll get hit for a boundary, so he'll go for like 8, 9, 10, and over. But Naseem is going for like 15s and 20s, and I think that sort of stuff is that's why on the New York pitch, when Pakistan are bowling you might think, oh, it's a 200 plus pitch, right? So,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be
you know,
uh,
I hate to
it's,
say
it's
it.
it's it's difficult, but I think there is a very strong case for Naseem Shah to be dropped just because of lack of form. The same reason why I would drop Shadab as well, and Azam Khan, which doesn't
Yeah, and
give
maybe
many
that's a
other
good
options.
call because Ahmed obviously has a good record against India. The limited time that he's played
Yeah,
him, he's got Rohit Sharma out, got Kohli out. He's
yeah,
not the same bowler, but
yeah,
there is that benefit. But then again, you've got the X factor of Naseem Shah with his pace. So it's a
yeah,
very tough call.
yeah,
I can completely see that.
yeah,
My my only two cents is I think it needs to be someone who can share the new ball.
yeah,
Amir has proven himself to be better with the older ball than the new ball, so I wonder whether maybe that pushes it towards Naseem
yeah,
Shah with a bit of
yeah.
pace up front. But you're right, it could go either way. I think it's a futile discussion because Pakistan will go with all four pacers and play both
Probably.
Shadab and Imad. So,
And
of
please, yeah, and please, if Babar Azam, I know you're listening to us.
course, yes.
If even if you play with two fast bowlers, I don't care what happens. Do not bowl Haris Rauf in
In
the
the
power
power
play.
play. Thank you. Thank you. This
I'd
message
rather
is this.
Imad Wasim
It's a
bowl three and
public
Shine bowl
service
three.
message. It's a public service message. And notice the only time when he didn't was the last T20 against England, and his performance was much better. I feel his confidence gets a big beating when he bowls in the power
Yeah,
play and leaks runs because he needs the extra
exactly.
protection. Suddenly
Yeah,
his morale goes down. He's always cursing and all this. I mean, you need to play a bowler to his strength. So I don't know. That's how I see it. But you could well
yeah.
be on to something here. But against the US, I would
Unless,
play all four.
yeah, yeah, and unless they've got this like I don't know third dimensional way of thinking where they're like, oh, we're gonna hide Abrar for the India game and just unleash him.
Unleash him. Yeah, that's the issue, right? They haven't given him game time. Either you play Abrar against the US and then maybe
Yeah,
play Naseem and
yeah,
maybe rest Harris or whatever. I don't know. And you give Naseem and you just choose out of these. It's almost
yeah,
right again, but you don't want to take these games lightly. So you have to
yeah,
play to win. So
yeah,
there you go.
yeah. And I guess just moving on well quickly on to what India would do. I don't think they'll do too much different in the Ireland or the Pakistan game. I think the question mainly for them is whether Kohli opens and or comes in at three, which kind of has the whole debate of whether Jaiswal starts. It's an interest. I think the rest of the middle order, Pant, Pandya, Jadeja, I think is pretty locked in. I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean Shivam Dube, who didn't bowl at all in the IPL, bowled in that warm up match against Bangladesh. But yeah, for India, I think it's more of a good problem to have. For them, it's like who do we drop rather than who do we play, which is the
Agree.
issue
Yeah.
for Pakistan. But they have too many people in form. Well, I think he's the only person who's not in form is Hardik Pandya, and that's probably someone who they're not going to drop. But the rest pretty much is easy for them to pick, right? Except for the top order.
Yeah, no, great. I mean, I think they'll go. Oh, look, I don't know what they'll go with, but I believe Kohli is three. Only because you have options, right? I mean, I was surprised to see Samson open, but given they did in the warm up, I think that's what they'll go with, right? India are not one to bluff or anything like that. I think that may be where they'll end up with. I would have gone Jaiswal, right? I mean, you've picked the
Yeah,
opener, play the opener, right? You've got
yeah,
Kohli at three, Samson at four, and the issue is then punt comes at six because you can't drop Sky, right?
yeah,
And suddenly it starts getting a bit too deep, right, with the
yeah,
batting. That's the issue they're having. In that case, then you know, look, my worry with having Virat and Rohit open from an Indian point of view is you've got a middle order that's performed really well in the IPL, but internationally, their numbers recently haven't stacked up, right? Sanju at three, who isn't the most experienced out there. Sky at four, who has not been his best. Okay, let's be honest. Like his record in World Cup big games is not as good as it should be. And you've got Punt at five, who's just coming back from a life-threatening injury, right?
yeah,
So you've got a middle order that if I'm Pakistan, I'm thinking, oh, I just need to break this Rohit Virat partnership, right? And the new ball is
yeah,
my best chance. I feel that It's different to Pakistan because in India you have options. And you have such an explosive player in Jaiswal. And the issue with Rohit and Virat is that if Virat and Rohit open, one of them has to be a big aggressor here, right?
Yeah,
I know it'll be Rohit. But with Rohit and Jaiswal, Rohit can play his natural game of being aggressive, but not overly so. And you let
yeah,
Jaiswal do that. So I don't know. Maybe I'd be tempted. Or Samson, if you believe he can open. But I
yeah,
keep Kohli at three.
yeah. I think I'd do the same. And he's opened in the IPL before, but in the end, internationally, he's always been three. So I'm not a big fan of him
Barring
to
one
open.
series when it became fashionable to open after Babar Azam and Rizwan made it
Of
before the
course,
21 T20 World Cup.
of
Suddenly
course.
everybody's like, oh, let's have two anchors at the top. Why? Why not?
Yeah, yeah. Ignoring the fact that everybody else had better options, Pakistan have kind of just ended up on this
Exactly.
accidentally. um,
Exactly.
so no, I agree, and I think the rest of the team is pretty straightforward. Again, like I said
Yeah.
in one of our previous episodes, ironically, their top order is going to be the top seven is going to be very similar to their 2021 campaign with Rohit, Kohli, Sky, Pant, Pandya, Jadeja. Um, but they've got Bumrah back.
Bumrah
Kuldeep
played in
Bumrah.
21.
Yeah, he was there. Kuldeep
You don't have
Bumrah.
Chakravarti. You've
Yeah,
got Kuldeep Yadav, much obviously fast
yeah,
player, and Shami's obviously injured, but you've got Ashdeep, who's proving himself
yeah,
to be quite good.
exactly.
Well,
So, and maybe one of, depending on conditions, they'll play Yuzi or Siraj, who I
against
know some.
Pakistan, not a bad shout because
Yeah,
Pakistan clearly struggle against spin. So this is the
yeah,
interesting thing. If I were the Indian coach or captain or whatever, what I would do is I would play both Chahel and Kuldeep Yadav. I
yeah,
absolutely would do that because you've got three paces. I'm sorry, I don't. This whole thing about Pandya being a better fourth pacer than a third seamer is this guy is now an experienced campaigner. He's not a kid anymore, right? If he can't adapt himself to these roles, then he's just not good enough to have the ego that the guy has. Okay, like this guy should be able to. You have Bumrah, you have Ashdeep over Siraj for me in T20 cricket.
yeah,
Bumrah, Ashdeep Pandya, Chahel, and
yeah.
Kuldeep Yadav. It's just 4 overs. I'm sure he can do it. And you've got Jadeja as well. So I would
I
absolutely do that.
agree.
Pandya just needs to bowl 2-3 overs.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. So yeah, I mean, yeah, let's see what happens. I think India have got good options, but I guess I think we've kind of are almost agreed on what they'll start with. The last thing I wanted to pick up on was this. It's still early in the World Cup, but this seems to be like a logistical nightmare, or it's really weird because usually you'd have games. Okay, if you have 2 games a day or 3 games a day, you'll have games at starting at set times. Here in the UK, it's 3:30 the early game, and then the next game is like 1:30 in the morning. Usually, if you have had two games, you have them back to back, right, with a 1 hour gap or half an hour gap. But the game finishes. The first game finishes at 6:30, and the next one starts at 1:30, and then the Texas game, which is Pakistan's first game, that's going to be actually at 4:30, not at 3:30, look like UK time. I know local time because it's a different time zone in the US as well, so I've had to
But
change it
still, I mean,
around.
does it
And
really matter? I
I
mean, it's a 20
mean, for
over
people to
game.
keep up to it, I can imagine the number of people who tune in at 3:30 to watch Pakistan's game and be like, "What's happening today?"
Have we lost already? I'm kidding. But yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something. I know there are certain games. I think when Pakistan play India, there are 3 games. There's one game starting at 6 o'clock as well, and yeah, it's going to be a. I mean, they're trying to squeeze in 55 games, and it's in a short period of time. So I know it's challenging, but yeah, some of the logistics are, and I think we've had to cater to the home audience starting at 10:30 local time. For the
Absolutely, yeah.
it's weird. But I guess that's how it's going to be. And then some games, like especially in the Super Eights, are going to be at like 1:30, 2:30, whatever UK time. So good luck
Well,
to
I
us,
mean, we
but
have one game that's in the middle of the night. The one
exactly.
Pakistan West Indies. I mean, look, I think they've overcooked it a little. I think they've tried to favor certain audiences, quite obviously, and you know, logistically, the cricket lovers not just in one country. Oh, most of them are, but they're around the world, right? And if people love their cricket, they'll join no
Mm,
matter what time it is. So I think it would have been a lot easier if they had a little more consistency. Now, yes, I appreciate it may not be the same level of consistency as if it were just in one country. I get it, but it doesn't have to be as crazy as this, right? And the inconsistency of India's semi-final having a reserve day, but no one else's, which I think is Is that right? Isn't that right?
Yeah, no, no, it's the other way actually. I think India's semifinal does not have a reserve day. It's the Guyana one, right?
Oh,
So
it
if
doesn't
India
have a
finished,
reserve day, and why is
so
that?
it's just because there's a 1 day gap between that and the final, right?
That is
Um,
insane. So if it rains, what happens?
the team that finished top of the group qualifies.
I mean, this is insane, right? I mean, you could
Yeah,
say
one
probably
semifinal
favors
is
India because they're likely to come on top,
yeah.
but still, I mean, it's that, and also let's face
I
it,
mean,
like the
what's not no, it's not right is the fact that they've got a confirmed final in Guyana. Which,
exactly
sorry, confirmed semi-final. I get
semi-final
it if
in
the
Ghana.
West Indies, you can like it was for the if the host team has like one specific win, which is fine. I think that's okay. Although I don't agree with it 100%.
But they always
But
get
for
the
like
second semi.
yeah, but yeah, exactly, which doesn't really make sense
Yeah,
because
yeah,
unless I think it's India West Indies, which in which case they'll play in Barbados. I think it's Antigua. I think it is.
yeah.
Uh,
So, but it's Guyana otherwise. So it's very similar. Actually, the blueprint was set by India when Pakistan
exactly.
came for that World Cup, right? So if Pakistan made it to the World Cup, it'll play in Kolkata. And if
Hmm.
India makes a semi-final, I meant Pakistan, they'll play it in Eden Gardens, and India would play their semi no matter what in Mumbai, except if it's against Pakistan, in which case it'll be Kolkata. So it's a bit different here. Here it's the other way around, where West Indies, the home team, gets preferred. Obviously, but now haters will say Pakistan had that advantage as well. An advantage that we blew. Now, I know we came up with the second semi theory, which, if you haven't watched it, please do watch it. That Pakistan struggles in their second semi-finals. But just keeping that aside, we knew who we were going to play, right?
I agree, but it's I don't know. How can you? It's really weird. Like, how can you just have? Why does Australia or Pakistan not get that benefit, right? Why does England not get England as defending champions? If anyone should have that right to be like, okay, if we reach it, we should play in, whatever Guyana or
Absolutely.
wherever.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I get it. But look, there you have it, right? I mean, it's been a bit of a mixed start to the World Cup, should we say? But let's hope things spice up, things get better, and I'm sure the India Pakistan game will be an eagerly watched one. But I can't quite confirm the quality that you're going to see. Let's hope for a close game, if even if the result is not in the favor of certain people. But hoping that we're going to have the batting prowess of India against the traditionally strong fast bowlers of Pakistan, and we get to see a really good game. Other than that, please stay tuned and please keep subscribing. Lots of content as the World Cup unravels. Thank you.